everyone, welcome to the Best Friends Club. My name is Fizz,
And my name is Charlotte.
and I don't know, welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. So this is, do you want to should we explain what this is actually, like what we're doing here?
Yeah, let's start off by explaining it first, and then we
All right,
can get into it.
okay, into like the meat of what this is. Okay.
Yeah,
So basically, I believe this started because Charlotte had this idea, right? You were like, oh, it
I
would be
did.
really cool to do. Yeah. So we have you to thank for this. And I was
Thank
kind of
you.
just like, oh, I want to do that. I was like, I want to do that. I haven't been here for that long. By the way, like, disclaimer, we've been we've been fannies for a very long time, but I kind of,
A very long time.
very long time. Like, it's been 11 years for both of us, I think, 2012, right?
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
That's a very long time. When you say it's like 11 years, that is a disgusting amount of time.
I know, like when you think about, like we talk about like how long Dan and Phil have known each other, but then you're like, oh, but we were there for like when they were in the London flat and they started doing BBC and stuff. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So essentially, what the idea is that we're gonna watch. It's a kind of like a discussion podcast where we're gonna watch
yeah,
specifically like their joint content, which is like stuff they put on their main channels, and then we're just gonna talk about um what it is and how like our reactions to it and what we know now from watching all of those things, back in the day, stuff like that, right? All
yeah.
right.
That's the basic gist of it. So just some introductions. My name is Charlotte. Fizz said I've been watching Dan and Phil since 2012. I made my fan account in 2015, and unfortunately, we've been here ever since. And like she said, Fizz said, I just had this idea of doing a kind of a podcast where I could talk about their videos, and that's what we're going to do. So hopefully, this is entertaining for
Yeah,
everybody who's listening.
really hope so. I think it'll be like really nostalgic
Yeah,
thing. But okay, so introduction for me, my name's Fizz. I've been watching Dan and Phil since 2012 as well. I've had like an account for them, I think since 2013, 2014. It's been the same account that I've been using for everything. So that's just when I started talking about them, I think. And yeah, but I have sort of veered off into another territory.
do you want to
My
admit
main
to the
interest,
viewers, the listeners, Fizz, what that other territory is?
I don't really, I don't really want to. I feel like I'll get attacked slash, um, I'll be like told like, oh, so you can't actually host this podcast because you're not valid for that. But let me just see. Look, I'm in a K-pop now. It's fine. It's okay. That's I'm like
Everyone just
normal.
stopped listening. Everyone
Okay.
stopped listening as soon as you
No,
said
no,
that.
no, 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 come back. Listen to me. Listen. Phil uploaded a video yesterday, and I was in there like 2 minutes later. I was watching. I was leaving a like. I am a faithful viewer. I just don't talk about them anymore. But I do like I'm doing this now. I feel like I just like come on. Hello. I've been here longer than most fannies right now.
Yeah, we both have our
Which is saying
veteran funny passes, badges, discount cards, whatever you want to call them. So I feel like we're qualified enough to host this podcast and talk about Dan and Phil for 40 minutes.
for sure. Yeah. And I think yeah, like if you get the reference in the podcast name, then you should also get a veteran pass,
Oh,
I
yes,
think.
absolutely.
Please try and figure it out. I don't think we should tell them. I think we should wait a bit.
No, we'll keep it a secret and we'll see if anyone guesses. So the first video that we're going to be talking about today is pin-off one. I feel like it had to be. Phil's
It
Not on
had to
Fire
be.
one. I felt like there was
100%.
no other
Yeah.
video that we could have started off this podcast with. So
Um
Phil is Not on Fire 1, uploaded 26th of October 2009. Fizz, where were you on the 26th of October 2009?
I believe in October 2009, specifically on this day, I was probably in my sixth grade classroom. I was probably in a math class or something because that's what you do as a sixth grader. I guess I was unaware that this was happening in where the
So
fuck.
you were just busy doing your maths while Dan
Yeah,
and Phil were out
basically.
there changing the world.
Exactly, yeah. Unfortunately, that's what I was doing. What about you? Where were you?
I was also in school. I was in year 9. Again, probably in some English lesson or a math class, blissfully going on about my day, not knowing that this monumental video had just dropped on YouTube.com.
Exactly. Like we had no idea. I doubt they had any idea. They were just like we can get into like the video. Yeah, they were literally just like having fun, doing some like who even knows. We kind of know because they were very obsessive about like documenting everything on Twitter, like everyone was in 2009. But
Absolutely.
but yeah. So we can talk about the video. It's very short. It's not like
It is very short compared to the other pin-offs.
yeah, like they like the beginning in the beginning it's only like a 3.5 minute long video, and later on they got longer and longer. I think because they were, I mean, they were giving the people what they want, right? So that was the whole
Yeah.
thing. So like no one would accept anything under 10 minutes. Um,
Phil had to get that ad revenue, Fizz. He needed that
I'm
AdSense.
sorry, I forgot about Capital Leicester. I'm sorry. They were, yeah. So I mean, it started out like it wasn't just like them answering questions. It was that Dan was there to ask Phil questions that had been sent to him, right? I think that's where it is. Hmm. And yeah, that's where it is. The editing was so random. It was just like go go.
Literally, the first note that I made whilst rewatching this for the podcast was the lol random vibes are really strong in this video.
Incredibly, like the 2009, like the early 2000s vibes are just that's what that video is.
Impeccable.
Amazing,
Yeah,
incredible. Like one inspirational person for editing that way. I think like he calls it like they joke that he's a dinosaur and everything, but I'll say it, Amazing Phil paved the way for other YouTubers. I'll say it.
he did.
He really did.
He was one of the first, so he did. There was no one else doing it like him, and he came in and he said, "This is how to make YouTube videos," and everyone just listened. They sat down and they
Yeah.
listened.
Like he set the standard for it. I don't know what to tell you. Um yeah. And I think like Pin-Off One is like the origin of so many inside jokes in the fandom that have stuck around. Like they have
Absolutely.
stuck around. Like we still reference Phil being Voldemort.
I feel like the first thing that we should mention, well, one of the first things we should mention, the fact that this was filmed like what, a day after they'd met
Oh
in
yeah,
person for the first time.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Can we talk about how absolutely insane that is? Like they just met for the first time less than 24 hours ago, and they're already recording a video. And I made a note about how it doesn't feel weird watching it. Like they don't feel uncomfortable around one another, and like it doesn't feel
Mhm.
like this is the first time they've ever met. It's like they've known each other for years, which is mind blowing to think about.
Yes, yes. Like even though, and like it's true, right? So we've both met like people that we know online, and there
Yeah,
are moments where you're kind of like, I mean, it starts off awkward, and then you get into that comfortable rhythm. But sometimes, like whatever, like it comes and goes. But for them, you just cannot tell. Even though they'd been talking online, they'd obviously like done a bunch of video calls and stuff together. They'd Skyped, but yeah, like you could not tell. Like they were very affectionate with each other, and they were also just like laughing and giggling so much, and you're just like, what is going on? Like,
literally, it did feel a bit like, I mean, it was the start, I suppose, of all the other joke videos to come where you do just feel a bit like a third wheel watching it, and you're like,
mm,
should I really be watching this?
I
Like,
like,
I
should
feel
I
like I'm
really?
intruding on a personal moment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like them them just being so like close to each other, like it you would not be able to tell that they had just met. You're right,
Yeah.
totally right.
I think as well the fact the camera framing is obviously way different to how they frame videos now, but they were sat so close to one another as well. I don't know if you noticed that, but like they're literally basically sat on each other's laps for the
Mhm.
entire video.
For the entire video, it's true. And also just like knowing like through the years, Dan got very vocal about how he's not comfortable with
Yeah.
physical contact in that way, like the whole "don't touch my neck" thing, and all of that. But like none of that in
No.
2009, none of it. Like you
I really
wouldn't
just
know.
think
No,
it
and
is like a testament
yeah.
to the solidity of their friendship that you wouldn't be able to tell that this was the first time that they'd met. Like whatever magic
Hmm.
someone had sprinkled over them to like forge this friendship. I don't know. It's insane to think about, to be honest.
Like just like you're right, like completely like considering like what their branding is, like they're just two
Yeah,
awkward guys, and it's just like you can't tell. Like you can tell when they're. I mean, I no, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna say like they're pretty okay with handling like even other people, but the way they like talk about like, oh, we're really awkward and we don't know how to talk to people, and it's just like, okay, but you guys are super like comfortable with each other on the first time, like on the first day that you've met. I have something about like, okay, so the Shining house, like he was like, oh, this is the hotel from the show.
I was going to talk about this as well.
I've written like it sounds like an inside joke between them that they kind of like sharing with us, because Dan just brought it up like, oh, you might not know this, but Phil lives in the hotel from The Shining, and then he takes us,
Oh yeah, it's definitely something they've spoken
yeah,
about
like to
before.
each other, and then Dan was like, oh, this sounds like something funny that people might want to know, because back then like they weren't. I'm not saying that. Okay, I kind of am saying like they kind of do like separate their personal lives from what they show us on camera. But back then it was just like, oh, I'll show you Phil's house. I don't live here, but I'll show you.
Oh yeah,
That was like very funny and very sweet to me. Like a lot of stuff that they talked about, I don't know. It just felt very much like we're sharing this with you, because also we want to capture it so that it's there. So like when Dan goes back, he's gonna watch it and remember that. I don't know. I just feel like
oh yeah, no, yeah. It's like a little sort of like physical
Mhm,
memories in it of that those first few days that they
mhm,
spent together, and it must be so nice for them now to have that to look
mhm,
back on.
yeah,
I obviously I'm not saying that they watch it every day, and I don't even know if when the last time they did rewatch it was, but like it just must be so nice to have
mhm,
that memory and all the things that they cut out from it that we will never see, like that raw footage.
exactly. And there was like a little. I mean, this is like a small note just back to what we were saying before with how like they were, but there was like that little bit where they like Phil literally like nuzzles into his chest. Um,
I don't want to talk about that, Fizz. I really do not want to talk about
I
that.
think. Okay, we won't have, but I have mentioned it. I've written, please, the little nuzzle heart emoji. So,
It causes so much physical pain to watch that. Like
I
I
think
don't
even
understand.
more,
Like
yeah, that's what,
what
even
was
more than like the tackle that happens at the end, which like we can talk about or like we can't. But like that was just like, why did you leave that in? You know, it's like just these random little bits of them giggling and laughing. I'm just like, why are you leaving this in for us? I don't.
yeah, like why did we need to see that? I didn't want to
Yeah.
see that. And then as well, so when they rewatched it in Giving the People What They Want back in
Hmm.
2018, they obviously, I think we saw the clip of them rewatching that bit with the Phil lean in, and they just didn't mention anything about it. And I'm like, thanks,
Yeah,
I
they
don't
get
want to hear
it. They
them
get us.
discuss
Like they
that.
were like, maybe no one wants to. They were like, let's not acknowledge it, and we were like, okay, let's not.
Thank you. You've done me
Um,
a great service.
yeah. I also have Phil and feet, because he showed his
Phil and Fee. I feel like that just that whole thing just yeah, that encapsulates everything. Phil and
Phil
Fee.
and feet. And then I've written under that girl, not Wally, because Wally is such an iconic part of like Dan and Phil lore. because they did, like, they talked about it in Giving
Yeah,
People What They Want, that they brought Wally, like they still have it. So
they
hmm.
do, don't they?
I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? I don't know if it's in the house.
Well, also, what was Phil's weird thing about, like, why did he need to bring that up to Dan's mouth so Dan could lick it? Like, what was that about? What's he doing? What's he thinking?
What what are you thinking? He wasn't. I think that's the point of it. I don't think either of them were
At all?
thinking
No.
at all.
I'm being genuinely
No
serious. I
thoughts.
don't think Phil has
Also,
ever had a thought in his life. I mean, he has, but like, I feel
no, you're getting the Phillies will come for you for that. But
he has many
I will.
thoughts,
No,
but
I
most
will.
of my thoughts are what is Phil thinking at all times? Because I don't know. Nobody knows
Nobody, except for
except for
Dan,
Dan.
maybe. But
But
like
maybe even he doesn't know. To be honest, what is going up in that skull of his? What's
that,
going
that's true. He does make like a lot of confused faces. Not back then. Like Dan was going along with everything back then. He was just like, yeah, I'll like Wally. You can shove that in my
I fully
mouth. No
believe that
worries.
Phil could have asked Dan to do
Um.
anything in that video where Dan would have done it.
We also learned the first word that Phil ever said, which I think for years we thought was just like a joke, and then
Oh yeah,
we found out that it was actually, yeah, he was like light. Um, and there's like video clips of like baby Phil saying it, so he wasn't lying. But do you think if he remembers that, then he must have seen those videos for like at that point, like he knew
maybe.
that. So
Unless
do
it's
you,
just mum and dad just like told him.
oh, maybe.
So obviously we mentioned the fact that this was the first time that Dan had come to Phil's
Mhm.
house and the first time they'd met. And I wanna have a word with Phil Lester of October 2009 and ask him why the hell he didn't tidy his bedroom for Dan coming over. That room is an absolute tip. There's clothes on the floor,
The sheets are on.
there's the
Yeah.
duvet is everywhere, the sheets are a mess, there's socks probably all over the floor, he hasn't tied his
Mhm.
wardrobe up properly, just an absolute mess. Like this, like Dan, this man that he's been talking to online for what, 4 months maybe at this point. I can't quite remember the exact timeline. It is coming over to see him for the first time in person, and he doesn't think to tidy his room. What's going through his head?
He's just. I think it's times like these that I think I remember at least that, oh, these are like men. As much as we like talk about them, like I don't know, like I think sometimes we forget, and it's like those kind of things like remind you, like, oh, he's just a guy. And also like how I think Dan brings it up in 2018. He's like, oh, that your room is so, yeah, he's like, your
Oh, he
room is
does.
so messy. You had guests coming over, and he said, I remember specifically, he said you had guests coming over, and I was just like, he had you coming over, like,
You don't count. You
you
don't
don't
count as a
count.
guest.
I think, but like that's so sweet. He was just like, Dan's gonna accept this no matter what. So I don't know, but yeah, I was kind of like, ew, Phil, you could have cleaned up.
Literally disgusting. Could have. I bet he didn't even Hoover. So yeah, Phil's room. I just don't understand what was going through his head. Like, just tidy it up a little bit. Did he even change his bed sheets? Were they clean bed sheets?
I
I
hope
hope
so. He,
so.
I mean, he lived with his mom at the time. So as much as I hate like the whole, oh, your parents do everything for you when you live with them, even though you're a grown adult. Bare minimum, if he's not doing it, I should hope Kath was doing it at the time. I don't know. I
I
hope
hope so. I
they
hope
weren't.
that she did sheets
Yeah,
before
yeah,
they
they
went
weren't
away
at
on
home.
holiday.
By the way, like that's so funny that he was like, my parents aren't here. You wanna come over? Like,
It's like, yeah, my parents are going to be gone for like a week. Come over to my house and hang out, and we can have the whole house to ourselves and film whatever crazy videos we want to film.
yeah, that's great. I think that was a good move on Phil's part because
I do wonder, do you think his parents knew that he'd invited Dan up? I'm going to say yes, because I feel like he has quite a good relationship with his parents that he would have told them that.
Same. Yeah. I don't think Dan, like if we're gonna go like a little like tinfoil hat moment here, I don't think Dan was telling his parents. I think he was just like, I'm gonna go up to Manchester to like do something
Look at the
for.
university
Yeah,
campus.
yeah.
And my friend is going to show me round.
Yeah.
My friend who lives in Manchester is going to show me round.
Yeah. And don't worry about like I'll just sleep on his couch. It'll be fine. Yeah, his parents are home. It'll be fine.
I hope if he did lie to his parents that he did tell them the truth later on.
Later on, yeah, 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 yeah. I
And this parent, and they would have been like, "Yeah, we knew who you were going to see. Like, you weren't that good of a liar."
I believe that about Dan, that he's not a good liar.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah,
I feel like his face would give everything away.
yeah. All right. So that was the video, except for the last part, which is like the tackle.
The last part, which the tackle, just, I mean, number one, why did they keep it in? Did they just think it was a nice little moment to keep in the video? It's a bit of fun.
You have to think that they did. Like I don't, because how? Yeah, like why would you do it? Like they could have filmed. They had like the hand heart outro ready to go after that,
Yeah,
so they could have just put that in. I was like, why did the rest of us need to see this? Um, Actually, we shouldn't say they because like Phil is the one editing this. I know Dan approved it.
that's true. Yeah, they both had a part to play in this. So it wasn't just one of them. So Dan approved that tackle.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't get like. I mean, the this is the most fun I've ever had phrase has become so iconic and just like
Oh, absolutely. I can't hear that phrase. If anyone says that phrase, like I'm just instantly like, did someone say that? Was that a Danafil quote that you just said?
yeah. I'm just like, do you know that you just referenced something, or are you just saying it because you're like a regular person who says that? Like I
True,
kind of
you're cursed. You're absolutely cursed.
completely. I'm just like, okay, so when you say that, you're not immediately flashing back to like Phil literally tackling Dan to the floor. Like you're not thinking that? That's a
Wow,
bit
it must be
strange.
nice
And
to be
also,
normal.
I envy people like that so much. I'm just like, I have so much in my brain that I wish
Yeah.
I didn't. And I think it's a good thing that
I
we're doing this so that we can talk about it.
yeah, I sometimes think like I feel like anything you could mention the most random thing, and there is some way that I could relate it back to Dan and Phil
That's a good
somehow.
goal. Do you want to do like a
I,
bonus episode or something? Like, if
we should
anyone
do that
wants
as a
that, like,
bonus episode.
I think we should. Like, I think that should be like a segment. Like, if those games where people give you like like two people and then you kind of
Yes,
like connect.
yes,
I think we should try to do that. I think we should ask if people are into this. Like, you should send us names or like items, and we will direct it back to Danville. Just like
yeah. We'll
I,
and we'll give one to each other, so we won't see our word before we record the episode. So we have to come up with it on the spot. We don't have time to think about it.
okay, yeah. That works. That works. Yeah,
Yeah, just for an
that'll
extra
be fun.
challenge.
Yeah, just for something. Yeah. Oh my god, that'll be fun. Okay. Is there anything else like in the video that you wanna talk about or?
I don't think so. I think we got through all of my thoughts. Yeah, that tackle, and then what did they do after the tackle? Like, I know obviously it cuts off straight
What did you?
away, and we're not going to go too far into any specific details, but like, what was going on? Did they just have a nice little cuddle on the floor for half an hour and then remember they were filming a video?
I don't think the camera would have lasted that long if they did. Um, but yeah, I think they just kind of just like went back on the bed, cuddled for a bit, maybe watched a movie. Like they love watching a movie. Dan and
Yeah.
Phil.
If there's one thing about Dan and Phil, it's
they
that they love watching movies.
they especially at that time they were watching Wall-E, they were watching Avatar, they were so many good movies.
Yeah. So many good movies. that was the first Fellow's Not on Fire. I mean, for a very short video, I feel like there was still quite a lot to discuss. I just think as a video, it's just, I feel like it encapsulates everything about them and like who they are. And like
Hmm.
you don't see this huge change from that one compared to like the last pin-off that they did. Obviously, like they've grown up a little bit and the sort of the way they act has changed a little bit, but at the core, there's
Hmm.
still that like pin-off one, Dan and Phil there somewhere deep,
Yeah,
deep down.
deep down, I think, yeah, that's true, and
Deep,
I
deep
think
down.
I think they really, I mean, they actively choose to edit spin-offs like that instead of, how the other joint content is
Yeah.
done. Yeah. And like they respect that and they have acknowledged like, no, this is the pin-off energy. It's like three, and they've said like they don't film it at normal hours of the day. They're just like,
Oh yeah.
"Hmm."
Absolute crazy people filming it at like 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. And they said like, yeah, no, it's the Sharpie fumes. And I don't doubt that. I do think like they are inhaling those markers and they are hitting record. Um
What do you think of the headcanon that maybe they just did drugs like before they filmed each pin-off and that's why they were all a little bit kooky?
is that you? Is
They
that
just took like a weed brownie, or they just did some weeds,
like
something like that.
like
Got a little bit high, and then thought, let's go film pin-off.
I don't know if they would. I don't think they do that every pin-off, but maybe like a
Not
couple.
everyone, just like every other one.
Yeah, yeah. That's what, like every other one, or just like a couple here and there. Maybe like the 2013 one, because I don't want to talk about that. Like cut this
I
out.
just love the
Cut this,
idea that
cut this out. But like things were kind
they'd
of
be like,
awkward if you think about it. Like also the 2012 one. The 2012 one was the first one I watched. Like when I first got into them.
same, same.
Same, right? So I mean, I didn't catch on like the 2012 energy, obviously, but then when you go back and
No,
watch,
same.
go back
Oh,
and you see, like,
it is very different.
right? So maybe they got high before that because they were like, this is the only way I'll be able to do it.
I just love the idea of Dan being like, Phil, we got to go film pin-off. Go out and get the weed brownies or whatever, and we'll come
Yeah,
and
definitely.
film
Yeah,
pin-off when you get back.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I never thought of that. Oh my god, that's something to ask them. Have they answered like have they ever like thank you? Because yeah, like next time you meet Dan, who's like your bestie now, um,
Do you know what? No, I think someone did ask Dan on tour if they did drugs before filming something. I don't know what video they specifically asked about, if it was pin-off or if it was another joint video, but I do have a memory of someone asking Dan if him and Phil did weed or like did drugs before filming a video. And maybe it was pin-off or maybe it was another one.
yeah,
If you're listening and you remember what that is, please let us know
let us
so
know.
that
Honestly,
I
yeah,
can have some closure. This is editing Charlotte coming in with information that she remembered. The video that the person on tour asked about was the final Google Feud video, because I think we can all agree that that was a very chaotic video. And I think Dan denied that they were on drugs and that they just filmed it at a stupid time. Back to the proper podcast.
this is T. I don't know this. Did do you remember his answer or did he just like, laugh it off?
I think he said no. I think he just laughed it off and was like, no, obviously we didn't do drugs. I feel like that would be. Can you imagine if he just casually dropped that? Like, yeah, actually, we did. We have a local drug dealer actually that we get all of our drugs from. If
Actually,
anyone wants his number, come
yeah.
on, ask us.
No, but he's admitted to so many things recently. I'm like, I think we're maybe a year away from him or both of them admitting that they have they have smoked weed. I think they can trust us to be okay with that. I think
I fully believe that like they both have, not as like any sort of habit, but I think that they both have definitely like tried it
yeah,
maybe a
like
few times, at least once.
100%, 100%. Like just thinking about what the YouTube scene was even at that time, like this is kind of
Oh
connected
yeah.
to 2009. Like these were just literally children on the internet going wild, and they were just meeting each other at the park. Like what is summer in the city? Summer in the city was them meeting at the park. and like
Absolutely,
the
yeah. That
Halloween
Halloween
gathering.
gathering in 2009, yeah.
Yeah, like
YouTubers
I'm
meeting in London in the dark.
yeah, like they're 100%. They're taking something. They're not like
They were definitely on
they're
something in
definitely
2009. I don't know what it was, but they were on something.
just everyone.
Uh,
I believe it. I
I
believe
would like to add a disclaimer. I'd like to add a disclaimer for everybody listening that not every episode is going to end in us talking about drugs and whether Dan and Phil have drugs or not. This is a very strange tangent that we've gone down.
no, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we're still figuring things out, and this is just the this is our pin-off one where we're kind of like chaotic and don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they will get these. Will get better, guys. We promise. They're going to get better. We're going to come up with a format, and they'll be loads better than this shambles.
yes. There'll be like a spreadsheet and like a shared.
And then every episode, we will end in discussing what drugs we think Dan and Phil have taken, and we'll do some polls, and you can all
You can
vote.
all vote. It'll be like 24-hour thing, and then we'll discuss those things in the next episode, and then
Yeah,
it'll be an
exactly.
entire like segment. Don't worry about it.
Just an extra disclaimer: this is all hypothetical and joking, because I can tell that some people will listen to this and think that we're being serious. We are
We
not.
are not.
This is all a
This
joke.
is very unserious. Like, please don't take anything. The only things you should take seriously are like our analysis of the videos, because again, we are
Exactly.
veterans and can be trusted on that. Um,
Yeah, we've seen it all. We've seen everything. Our eyes have been opened for many years.
so many years. I am really afraid for the days we're gonna do like Tumblr tag videos, and
Oh God, I haven't rewatched those in so long.
same. I almost forgot about them, but then I was looking through everything and I was like, oh god. Um, because what's funny is the Tumblr tag. I mean, this is completely another tangent, but like they include people that we have known in our lives. I think, yeah,
Yes,
and
which is insane.
so insane. Like our community was tiny, tiny, so small. Even in 2012, like you could follow I think,
Yeah, and
the
then
entire Fanny Twitter and be done with it, and you would know
yeah,
everyone.
especially because I think Twitter fandoms wasn't such a big thing then. It was all like Tumblr
Mm-hmm.
and like other sort of websites like
Yeah.
that. It was all on there. And then obviously, I don't know when people migrated over to Twitter, but I'd say there's maybe more people on Twitter now than Tumblr. I'm not too sure. I don't know what the statistics are on that
No,
one.
I agree. I think I agree with that. It you can tell just from the notes and like engagement on both things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I miss like Tumblr fandom. I don't know. I just felt I feel like at the time we were friends with a lot. I mean, again, this is not part of this isn't part of the video analysis and stuff. This is just us talking about like when we started being fans. But I think we were friends with a lot of people who were creators, not just like artists and writers and stuff, but people
Yeah,
who did edits, people who posted like gifts and photo sets and all of that. They made merch. I think they made like unofficial merch. Like people were so active
yeah.
at that point. It was so cool.
It was very cool. Those were the glory days of the fandom.
Truly, truly. Like those, like I would say 2012 to 20, like Tabanoff,
18.
2018. Let's say, yeah, 2018.
Yeah,
100%. So I was there for the glory days. I will just bring that back.
you
I
were.
really was. After that, I was still watching the videos, but I was like, what's going on? Why is everyone being so mean?
Yeah, I feel like there's been such a drastic change since
Mm-hmm.
2018 to now.
Mm-hmm.
Just in like the types of people that are in the fandom,
Not, not
and
you
just
guys,
yeah, I
not
just
the
feel like
ones
there's been a really big
listening. Not the
change.
ones listening. We love you.
Not the ones listening, we love
We
all of
love
you.
all.
But I'm not saying I wasn't saying it as a negative
Yeah.
anyway. I'm just saying I feel like it's
It,
been such like a huge change into how people interact with the fandom now
mm-hmm.
than like back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose it's maybe like just the online culture has changed a lot as well. So the way people consume fandom content has changed.
That's true.
But yeah, that's my deep analysis of
Yeah.
that.
We can get into that also. If anyone would like that,
Yeah.
we can do that for you. We're here like at your service. But like the basis of the
At your
yeah,
service.
yeah. Just we're just gonna be talking about videos for the most part.
So, thank you everybody for listening. This was our first episode of the Best Friends Club podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening to it and it wasn't just 40 minutes or however much this gets edited down to of us rambling about stuff that nobody cares about.
Yeah, we hope you care. And thank you so much for listening, as Charlotte said. And we're super excited about this. I hope you guys
Yeah.
listening are also excited and also watch the videos along with us so that we can kind
Yes,
of
that would
have
be
a
really fun. That would be really good. So we think we're going to do all the pin-offs. So we'll probably do Phil's Not on Fire 2 next. We don't
Mhm.
currently have a schedule of when these are going to be uploaded or going out, as I'm busy with a full-time job and Fizz is also sort of busy with life. So we will try and
Yeah,
upload them as frequently and often as we can.
yeah. Also, we're kind of like on very different time zones. Not too
Yeah.
bad, but it has to work with like our schedules and like what time we're both awake. Like currently, right now, it's 11:30 p.m. for me. With the content, we'll probably do pin-offs, amazing dance. Remember those?
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a throwback. Vintage content.
Amazing dance? What? What's that? Do the kids even know? Um, there's only two of them. I think there's only two of them. Or three? Two.
Yeah, I think there is two. I think there's only two.
Only
Yeah. Wow,
two.
they were short-lived.
Yeah, and I think controversial opinion that we can talk about in those videos, but I think my f- they were my preferred videos as a
Oh my god, exclusives, exclusive. Guys, you want to keep listening to this podcast so we can hear that.
like
Wow.
hot take, like from everywhere,
Let's take.
from from a funny hag. Um, yeah. So those are the kind of videos. We're not gonna do gaming channel videos because like that's a whole thing.
We might dip our
Uh,
toes into some gaming channel videos, but we'll get all of the other joint content out of the way. And if people are still
mhm.
listening, then we'll dip our toes into the gaming channel.
Yes, for sure.
Hope you like it. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next time. This was
Next.
the most fun I've ever had, Fizz.
Ew. Bye, everybody. You can't see it, but I'm doing like a hand heart. Oh my god. Bye.